In the heart of the Persian Gulf, a strategic waterway that controls one of the most crucial arteries for global oil trade, a military drill turns into a volatile flashpoint. The Strait of Hormuz, a narrow passageway that handles approximately 20% of the world's oil shipments, has just been temporarily closed by Iran for live-fire military exercises. This is not just another display of military power. It's a clear signal from Iran that the stakes in the region have escalated, and the world's economy is now teetering on the edge. The ripple effect is immediate and devastating. Oil prices skyrocket, and markets that were already fragile tremble under the pressure. The closure of the strait, combined with the threat of further disruptions, sends a shockwave across global markets. But the story doesn't stop here. The political tension between Iran and the United States has been simmering for years, and now, in the midst of tense nuclear negotiations, Ayatollah Khamenei takes to mocking U.S. warships, further fueling the flames. And as the world watches in fear, the United States has taken a bold step, engaging in indirect talks with Iran, hoping to calm the storm before it completely consumes the region. But is it too late? Has the world reached a tipping point? As you know, nowadays, the best scope for passive income is on YouTube, where we can earn long-term passive money simply by uploading videos. Imagine this. We're an entire organization with a dedicated team that will grow your channel and secure consistent passive income. From content creation to optimization, we handle everything for you. Let us manage your YouTube channel today so you can start earning passive income with ease. The Strait of Hormuz is a choke point of unmatched strategic importance. With just over 30 miles in width at its narrowest point, it's a bottleneck that carries a staggering 20% of the world's oil supply. Tankers laden with crude oil pass through this vital corridor every single day, feeding the global demand for energy. For countries in the Middle East, it's not just a passageway, it's a lifeline. For the world's superpowers, it's a flashpoint for global conflict. When Iran announced the closure of the Strait of Hormuz for military drills, it wasn't just a routine exercise. It was a message to the world that Iran is willing to take extreme measures to assert its power in the region. As news broke, oil prices immediately surged, and traders scrambled to assess the impact on global supply. The world watched with bated breath as the military exercises unfolded, each moment feeling like a countdown to something far more serious. Why would Iran choose this moment to flex its muscles? The answer lies in the growing tension surrounding its nuclear program and its relations with the United States. With ongoing nuclear talks in Geneva, the situation in the Strait of Hormuz has taken on a new dimension. The military drill is not just a show of force, it's a direct challenge to the United States and its allies, particularly as they work to curb Iran's nuclear ambitions. As the drill continued, the global oil markets reacted swiftly and with intense volatility. Within hours of the announcement, crude oil prices shot up, sending shockwaves through financial markets worldwide. The closure of the Strait of Hormuz, even temporary, was enough to raise fears of a prolonged disruption in oil supply. For countries like the United States and China, this was a nightmare scenario. The cost of oil surged, and supply chains already strained by global disruptions were further destabilized. But for Iran, the move represented leverage, a reminder of its ability to choke off one of the world's most critical trade routes, holding the global economy hostage if it so chose. This spike in oil prices is not just a matter of economics. It's a warning sign. The world's dependence on oil from this region is so great that even the smallest disruption can cause ripples that affect everything from gasoline prices to inflation and economic stability. But Iran's power doesn't stop at the Strait of Hormuz. As the military drills continued, Iranian officials took to the airwaves, making bold statements. Ayatollah Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, taunted the United States, mocking the presence of American warships in the region. His words were sharp, filled with a biting arrogance, as if daring the U.S. to respond. Iran has the strength and resolve to defend its interests, Khamenei declared, a statement that sent a clear message to Washington and its allies. In Geneva, diplomats are scrambling to find a way forward. The clock is ticking, and with each new escalation, Whether it's the closure of the strait or Khamenei's taunts, the prospect of a peaceful resolution becomes increasingly unlikely. The U.S. has been trying to negotiate with Iran for a return to the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA, the nuclear deal that was abandoned by the Trump administration in 2018. But with Iran's recent actions, it's clear that the situation has changed. Iran is no longer the same nation it was when the JCPOA was originally signed. It's a nation emboldened by its military might and determined to resist Western pressure. In this tense climate, the U.S. has held indirect talks with Iranian officials, hoping to find some common ground. But with the closure of the Strait of Hormuz and the growing threat of conflict, it's unclear how much longer diplomacy will hold. As the situation in the Gulf intensifies, the world finds itself at a crossroads. The risks are palpable, and the consequences of any misstep are catastrophic. The closure of the Strait of Hormuz has sent tremors through global markets, with the price of oil soaring and nations scrambling to secure alternative energy supplies. But beyond the economic implications lies the far more frightening reality: the potential for open conflict. The military drills in the strait are just the beginning. As tensions rise, the risk of miscalculation or an unintended military engagement increases exponentially. In the coming days, the world will be watching closely. Will the closure of the Strait of Hormuz remain a temporary disruption, or will it mark the beginning of a new phase in the long-standing standoff between Iran and the West? The stakes couldn't be higher. With oil prices rising, markets in turmoil, and military tensions escalating, the world is on edge. The next few days and weeks will be crucial in determining whether we can avoid the nightmare scenario of a military conflict in the Middle East. The United States, along with its allies, would face severe economic consequences. The U.S. and European nations are major consumers of Middle Eastern oil, and a disruption in supply could lead to a sharp increase in fuel prices. Imagine the price at the gas station soaring. Imagine industries, from manufacturing to transportation, grappling with inflated costs that threaten to destabilize global markets. The economic toll would be immense, and it would be felt by ordinary citizens struggling with inflation, job insecurity, and higher living expenses. But the effects won't just be economic. The geopolitical fallout from such a conflict could shift global alliances. China, Russia, and other nations with strategic interests in the region will not remain silent. Their involvement, either directly or through proxy forces, could change the landscape of global politics for years to come. The already fragile balance of power in the Middle East could shatter, with consequences that are difficult to predict. Beyond the markets and political games, the human toll of a potential conflict is the most devastating. For the people living in Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and other nations in the region, this is not just about oil prices or military drills. It's about their homes, their families, and their future. As of now, indirect talks are ongoing, but progress has been slow. There are those who believe that Iran is simply playing for time, hoping that Western resolve will weaken or that the pressure on them will ease. On the other hand, some experts argue that the U.S. will be forced to act more decisively if Iran's defiance continues. The window for a peaceful resolution is shrinking, and every passing day without a breakthrough brings us closer to a dangerous precipice. The stakes are so high that even the smallest diplomatic misstep could have dire consequences. A single miscalculation, a single misunderstanding, could lead to an all-out conflict that engulfs the entire region. So, where does the world go from here? The current state of affairs in the Persian Gulf is unsustainable. The military drills, the oil price spike, and the mounting tensions are all pointing toward an inevitable clash. But there is still time, though not much. The next few weeks will be crucial in determining the fate of the region and, by extension, the world. Can diplomacy succeed where it has failed before? Will the U.S. and Iran find common ground, or will the situation continue to spiral into violence and chaos? If diplomacy falters, the consequences will be catastrophic. But even if diplomacy succeeds, there is no guarantee that the Middle East will ever be the same. The long-standing conflict between the U.S. and Iran is rooted in decades of mistrust, geopolitical maneuvering, and competing interests. A resolution, if it comes, will likely be temporary, a fragile peace at best. For now, the world waits, watches, and holds its breath. The closure of the Strait of Hormuz was only a spark. The real danger lies in what comes next. The countdown to the next phase of this crisis is ticking, and no one knows how or when it will end. Will the Strait of Hormuz become the epicenter of a global conflict, or will cooler heads prevail and the world be spared from another war in the Middle East? Only time will tell.